Perfect.
Dear Professor Jonas, and our respected African scholars in China, first I thank you all for dedicating your productive time for this timely, familiar session to discuss matters pertaining our continent, our people in Africa, and the third world people in general, making the unprecedented Chinese reception of the symbol of resistance, President Isaias Afwerki, as the foundation of our discussion here on after. At the time when Africans are trying hard to liberate themselves from the burden of neocolonialism and unilateral relationship imposed upon them by the forces of injustice and discrimination and domination. I warmly welcome you to the forum by congratulating you on the 32nd Eritrean Independence Week being celebrated all over the world by beautiful Eritrean people at this point in experience. As you know, Africans freed themselves from colonialism through armed struggle to yet end up in the darkness of neocolonialism through opportunist African leaders. Africa suffered unbelievable and unsustainable burden of debt, food dependency, and economic domination under the merciless US imperialism, while very few might have successfully tried to challenge the crisis. President Isaias appeared to have survived against the collective offense of the European Union, United Nations, United States of America, IMF, and the World Bank. Life for the president was simply sanction after sanction after sanction, threats and proxy war. It was even ignored by the United States in its meeting with 49 African leaders in the so-called United States African Summit held in Washington, D.C. on December 13 to 15 last year. Yet we saw him dignified in China, returning home with about 12 billion worth of business deal with different industrial giants of the country. Thank you very much for coming here. My question now. How was your impression when the event took place as African scholars in China? Because we've seen leaders coming to China before. For example, the latest visit that I remember was Tanzanian president in China. But this was definitely unprecedented. It was unusual. I don't think he himself expected this kind of reception from the prestigious Chinese government. How was your impression of the event as the African scholars in China, and what may the success story mean to other African leaders, in your opinion? Thank you.
Thank you, Engineer Fitzum. Appreciate that. Before we go to the discussion, panel discussion, and Q&A, I would love to just make a very quick introduction about you to my students and who you are, and then we'll go straight. So, for you guys, the wonderful, charismatic person that you see on the screen, his name is Fitzum Nati Abraham, and he's from New York, originally from Eritrea, African American, is a big time Pan African movement leader, we can say, has done a lot on that perspective. He published two books. One is The Curse of Being and Living It, and the second one is From Feminist to Rapist. So maybe he will give us a link to his books later on. Maybe he put it on the link later, and I'll share it with you guys. And that's all about him. Back to you, Engineer Fitzum.
Okay, my question then, back to the question. Thank you very much.
Before that, sorry, what happened? Muhammad dropped out. I think the signal. I think the signal is going down.
It's okay, Mr. Mohammed.
VPN. Yeah, you might get in.
When he gets in, we will get in. At this point, we welcome
I mean
Muhammad.
Bruce, not Muhammad. Muhammad is on. I mean Bruce. Yeah.
My question was, how was the impression? I mean, like, did you guys expect that kind of show? To me, it was a surprise. I think it was also a surprise to the government. The whole government in Eritrea and the person himself, Isaias Afwerki. What was the impression in China? We know that there's so many African students over there living as a family, actually. I have seen it myself. What was the first impression that you had about this? And what do you think it means to all of us into Africa?
I'll give this to Mohammed. Mohammed, do you have anything to say about it? Introduce
Uh,
yourself briefly first. Where in Africa you from, and what are you studying, and all that.
okay, my name is Mohammed. I am from Tanzania. Yeah, and now currently in China. I'm just studying my biotech biotechnology major. So yeah, um, as African, uh, I see this the neocolonialism thing now, like in this past few years, it has been it has been taking like a huge step because of this world superpowers countries trying to like find allies in their economic I can say like war or in their like economic crisis. So perhaps they think allying with some African countries would have a huge impact, probably on their technology or maybe on their industrial products or in any other kind of way that they might see as a support.
Is the background? I'm sorry, there is musical background in one of you. You? Please shut it off, please, if you don't mind.
Hold on, hold on. It's from the cafe, not from me. Hold on. Let me just tell him.
Okay.
Be right back.
Okay, keep going.
Yeah, so I think for the African leaders, uh, first I think maybe they should be aware of what's really going on, because this will currently result in them taking like sides, or on who to side with, and I think that will have a huge impact on Africa as a whole. Uh, this might be politically, maybe economically, and even socially. So recently, not very recent, but our president, Tanzanian president, uh, President Samia Suluhu, had a visit in China, and Tanzania has been known as a country that isn't sided, isn't sided to any of these countries. It has been known as a neutral country, where that it is free to collaborate with any uh, superpower countries, either politically or economically. So I think now Africa and African leaders and African countries are now like hot cake, because all these all these powerful countries, all these first world countries, uh, they want to get a hold of them, so as they could be their somehow support system to them. Uh, so in my view, I think the neocolonialism is, maybe for right now it might seem like it's fading, but I think it will exaggerate in high, because once these countries have sided and with one of these, maybe the first world countries, that will result with them not be able to collaborate with the other countries. So for instance, if Tanzania maybe sided with probably USA or China, so that it will limit it from collaborating with maybe Russia or Germany or France. So I think it will it will um it will like it will like limit it to explore other countries, maybe, and collaborate with them like economically and stuff. So I think that's the point where this country, like USA, that is collaborating with Africa, that's the point where it will begin its exploitation, because maybe they'll think like, oh, they'll have nowhere else to turn. So I think for right now, the African leaders and Africa as a whole should be like careful with who they side with, or with the decisions that they take, because sooner or later things might be. I think
There is some noise. Okay.
sooner or later, I think the neo-colonialism might show up its real face on African countries, because now we see, now like before I came to China, in Tanzania, like we hosted the vice president of the US, Kamala Harris, and she came to Tanzania and and other two countries, if I'm not mistaken. So also the one of the purpose of her visit was like to share the agenda of.
Excuse me, Muhammad, but my question was, what was your impression about the president's? Like many people were giving their ideas about it.
Yeah.
Many Black Americans were talking about it. Many African scholars were talking about it. A lot of white people were talking about it. You know what the Chinese were doing? What exactly did you feel when you saw President Isaias Afwerki there? I mean, in such kind of dignified reception as an African. What
Like
did you feel? And what did it mean to you? And what do you think it means to Africans? Is my question.
the reception of
Isaias Afwerki, the president of Eritrea in China.
in China. Oh, okay.
The president was there last week in China. I don't know, maybe you haven't seen him,
Yeah,
but
I heard.
you had. What was your impressions about that kind of unusual visit to China by a president from the continent of Africa?
I had the president of Eritrea's visit to China, but I honestly didn't get a chance to follow up. But from what you're saying, like it was an unusual visit. Now I don't understand if the visit was like not announced to people, or maybe it wasn't disclosed what was the purpose.
Okay, I got you. Yeah.
But
Yeah,
if it's any kind of unusual visit, uh, probably I would say um, probably I would say it's not it's not sit right with me, because like if the president has to visit another president, maybe on the office tour or something, why does it have to be unusual? So if there's any kind of unusualities there, I think maybe I don't know, maybe the
Unusual meaning many presidents came to China, like even Obama who came there. He didn't
yeah.
get red carpet reception at all. The Chinese showed something in this situation because no other leader has been accepted like this with 21 what do you call it, cannon firings and all this kind of celebration itself. There must be some kind of meaning behind it for Africans, the way I felt, and the way many others felt actually. But probably Dr. Jonas can explain a little bit later, and then help each other. What I mean is, how did you feel? If you didn't feel anything, you didn't feel anything.
yeah. Probably,
Okay.
Mohammed.
Now,
Sorry to
yes.
interrupt you. Maybe probably Mohammed has not like he hasn't had a chance to
Maybe yes.
to watch what was
It's all
going
right.
on because it was also student season for finals and for thesis.
Okay.
But you know, unusual in a sense, the reception he got. throughout China by Xi Jinping and all the 21 cannon firing, all this stuff uh, means like it's a reception for a hero. And why do the Chinese government do it exceptional from others, even exceptional from, you know, the biggest nations in the world? That would tell us something is happening. If you notice the last 3 4 years, a lot of things was happening in the Horn of Africa. The U.S. trying to take over um, dominance in the Horn, and of course that's the center of the African Union also. So they want to have a grip of the power in that region so that they can have dominance throughout Africa. That kind of failed the last 3 years, and that's because of Eritrean government resistance and the fight of Eritrean people against, Western hegemony. Okay, and that's what we saw, and I think we'll summarize that later. I think I let me Bruce. Can you
Yes,
Bruce?
sir.
Do you have any electronic device? Two of them turn on.
Yeah, I think I removed the other one. Yeah, I removed the other one.
Yeah, we still have a lot of noise coming.
Oh,
Uh,
really?
It's
yeah,
okay. It's a little bit better now. Just avoid any noise in the room, son, if you can. And then
Hmm.
it's maybe we
yeah.
can.
If you have one of the electronic device very close
Yeah,
to your
it's
computer,
disconnected now. I think it's
give
from
it.
the laptop. Yeah, it's from the laptop. That's why I was trying to connect from the phone.
Okay.
Are you
Yeah,
using your laptop or your phone right now? You cannot
yeah,
use
yeah.
both of them at the same time.
Let me try and do that here and see.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I will just okay, keep
Put the
going.
other aside until yeah.
Now I think I understand what you mean. And maybe it's not as far as from my previous point whereby I was saying like African countries now are like now a hot cake, whereby these big nations like US and China, they're trying to scramble for it, finding partners and collaborators. So for that unusual visitors, uh, as Professor Jonas explained, I think it might be bringing some worrying to some extent, that probably maybe the Eritrean leader, the Eritrean president, maybe has some agreed to some terms, or has come to to some agreement with the Chinese nation. That's why maybe he's receiving that kind of impressions they show. Uh, So on the other side, maybe someone can see it as, oh, now maybe these superpower countries are trying to recognize African nations and African leaders and their importance to this world. But on the other hand, maybe I should just highlight that probably it might not be good for the future, because maybe Eritrea might be limited to other countries like maybe the US. Probably the US seeing the Eritrean president having such welcome in China might make them think maybe, oh, now they are not our collaborators, they are maybe they are like our allies and stuff. So um, from from that, I think my thought directly is to African leaders that now that the world and these big superpower countries are trying to dominate over Africa, perhaps they need to be more careful, because such impressions and visits, they might cause them not to collaborate, or they might not bring a good sense to other superpower countries, and maybe limits themselves to some other countries, and that might
Okay.
not be good for their nation. Yeah.
I
Okay.
appreciate
Cool.
Maybe probably Bruce didn't listen to the question actually. Bruce, as you
Yeah,
know, President Isaias offered to visit China. I don't
yeah,
know if you paid attention to that or if you were partying or
yeah,
something.
yeah. I paid
Okay.
attention to that,
Before
but I had a
before that,
problem.
before that, Bruce, briefly introduce yourself, who you are,
Okay, please.
and then you can go straight to the question.
Okay, please. I'm Bruce Kwekugati from Ghana, and I'm 27 years. I study biotechnology, and I actually came to China for greener pastures, as everybody goes outside to find. But when I got here, I saw that things are really different. So I decided to also like know my self-identity and start knowing that where I'm coming from, it's not hell. It's actually heaven, but we are not knowing how to do stuff. So basically, that's who I am. Thank you.
Beautiful. By the way, we can even extend this discussion. I noticed some kind of discrimination against black people in China. When I came there to visit, in fact, I had a chance to meet many African students from different countries, in
Yeah.
one bar, and I was kind of popular for a while. All of them were my kids talking from all of them.
Yeah.
They told me discrimination exists in China. In
By the
fact,
way, there is discrimination all over the world. By the way, so we don't have like I mean, it's a human behavior thing. Whenever they see, something different, something new, and we shouldn't dwell on it. We have to expect that anyway. So the only way out is to make ourselves strong, work hard, and be better, rather than
yeah,
reacting
yeah,
to
exactly. Like
something.
I was totally mad at that time. And Africans were telling me they felt bad about the Chinese, and when I look at the Chinese, they're all feeling good, sitting down. I yelled at the Africans. I told them they should discriminate us because we failed to succeed in Africa.
It's
Okay.
our own problem. Yeah.
Yeah.
Therefore, don't blame them for discriminating us. Let's be motivated to work harder to be like them. Okay, that's what I told the kids at that time. And experience
Correct.
right now, though, I do feel that this the visit of Isaias Afwerki, the president of Eritrea, was certainly unusual. I mean, unprecedented because he had to break through the chains of the checkpoints, America, European Union, the UN. They don't want him to do that, but he said, "No, I will go there and just do whatever I have to do." It showed me political independence. Actually, you have to be politically independent to do that kind of stuff. In order to do that, you also have to be economically kind of independent through
Independent. Yeah.
self-reliance. To me, to many other black people in America especially, the occasion was unusual and very dignifying for black people in general and Africans in particular. Did you notice something, Bruce, like, for example, did you notice something about that visit? What was your impression, your honest
Yeah.
impression?
I think the level of respect that the Chinese demonstrated to the president was so spectacular. And I've not seen any African president or any African leader coming to China to receive such a warm welcome from China. So when I first saw the video online and how the Chinese they were publicizing all the videos and everything, I knew that this guy was different. So I started researching about what is happening, and because we are in China and we know how Chinese receive foreigners. If you know your self dignity, if you know that you matter for more, Chinese are going to treat you for more. And Chinese are the widely populated people on earth. So if we learn something from Chinese, we know that we are not supposed to live against Chinese. We are supposed to actually learn from them. They were populous, and right now they are dominating. In some way, they are dominating the world. So Chinese behavior and Chinese, their way of life towards other people is something that we are also to learn about. So when I saw the welcoming address of Chinese to the Eritrean president, I knew that this guy was different. And indeed, I now know that he actually knows that he matters for more, and he respects his country. He's self-dependent. He's bold. He's fearless, And that is what humans like. We are humanity, and we are naturally, if you give ourselves the chance, people are going to step on us. So with what I saw, I know that the Eritrean president is, if not the African giant, he should be a great leader.
Very interesting. Uh, well, that's exactly how, especially Black Americans, felt about that here, because we have a lot of pressure from racism. And then, as you know, universally, Africa means Black America, we're all the same. And when we see something like this that comes out,
Mm.
okay, against the surveillance of the white man from the West, I think it is normal for people to feel a little bit different about it. Going to the next, actually, history tells that the United States have been.
Um, can I say something on that? Just
Yes,
yeah, you guys have said it all, but one point we have to underline also is his visit means a lot to Black African in general. The respect he got means a reflection. It would be reflected even by the society, Chinese people, towards towards us Africans, because as Bruce said, they respect you when you do your homework, when you are up there, when you dignify yourself, when you fight for yourself, when you become independent. So that is something that we should learn as Africans. We have to start from scratch, do not dwell in the past, and try to change ourselves. There are a lot of odds against us, but then we can do it. I think the Eritrean leadership has done it, and I think that is a big, big plus to Africa.
beautiful. I do believe uh, after colonialism, we suffered neo-colonialism in Africa. They were giving us money, indebting us, putting us in trouble for high interest, extremely high interest. I'll give you some examples right here. And I want to see the Eritrean perspective from that angle. We have been witnessing chaos and tragedy anywhere the United States puts its hands into. Cases in point being Iraq, Syria, Afghanistan, Yemen, Libya, Somalia, Burkina Faso, Mali, etc., etc. The latest tragedy in Sudan could have been avoided had the United States supported the country's transitional government. But instead, they divided them, okay? Uh, our continent is reduced to crippling financial crisis because of calculated American strategy to the point of indirect slavery, to my understanding. They're all deeply indebted by the IMF and World Bank. A staggering amount of interest, so to say, at the expense of the African people. Cases in point. National debt of Kenya is tragically increasing every year. Actually, like every other country, and it's going to be 114.5 billion in 2008. Kenya. Nigeria's will go to 423.32 billion in 2018. Everything is increasing, the debt. What's happening is they give them a lot of money, then the interest adds up, and then it's all compounded and goes crazy. Ghana's 139 billion is going to be in 2018, I'm sorry. We're taking 2018, about 5 years from now as a reference point. Ethiopia will blow up to 135.2 billion. Sudan's will be 351 billion. Yet, Eritrean self-reliance policy appeared to have overcome this burden of survival by limiting national debt to only 3.75 billion. The, Eritrea will be indebted only close to $4 billion 2018, which means it has a lot lower than that. I think this economic independence gave Isaias Afwerki the political independence to decide what he wants to do, without the Western pressure. Because the other African countries are so much pressure, they have to listen. They have to understand what the white man says to a certain extent. In this kind of situation, 3.75 billion will be the debt of Eritrea in 2018, and this gave the nation some kind of independence, political independence. That was the reason that he took the independence and he went to China, irrespective of what the United States thought about it, the Europeans thought about it. What do you think about this? This was the difference, really. Self-reliance. No matter what, the Eritrean government depended on itself. Let me starve rather than being a slave. Here is the money. You got to take this money. No. Then sanctions. It didn't matter, man. He stood on his feet. Finally, he has now a nation that's debt-free. In Africa, can you imagine? Gave him the chance to actually stand over and go anywhere else he wants to go. And right now, they didn't want to give him money. IMF, World Bank. He didn't even want it. To be honest with you, from China though, he has made 12 billion worth of industrial deals now. And the United States of America doesn't like it. They're still doing a lot of pressure on him. But this is why he actually became independent politically. What I'm talking about is political independence is a function of economic independence. And our African nations, others, are suffering because of so much indebtedness by the collective Western, what I'm saying? This is a situation. What do you think about this achievement? Economic independence through self-reliant policy had apparently earned Eritrea complete political independence from the West to the point of safely connecting with China with independent political decision of its own. Okay? Question is, what can you tell Africans from this angle of reality, and how do you view the leadership of the president in this regard, in view of African leaders in the continent?
Okay, let's hear from Bruce. I think you understood the question, so I'll give you maybe 5 minutes.
I will give you about
But
5 minutes, Bruce.
yeah, just
Yes, sir.
And then if you need some more time, I'll give you.
yeah.
Yes, sir.
You look beautiful, man. Do you play soccer?
Really?
He's
No.
Ghanaian, so yeah.
You don't look like that anyway. Keep going.
All right, sir. Thank you for the opportunity. I think when we are talking about political independence depending on economic independence, that's totally true. Because let's just cut it down and see, if you are depending on somebody for your food, your daily meals, you cannot go to that person and tell, I want to be independent. While the person knows that I am giving you everything that you take inside every day. And this has been the biggest problem that I think Africa is facing right now. We are not self-reliant, and we don't believe in ourselves. And we always complain that somebody is stealing from us. But I don't think if I'm holding a gold chain and somebody is holding food, I'll exchange that with a person for food without thinking of the negotiations to make to get my share of it. Meanwhile, I know that what I'm holding is very valuable than food. So in a certain way, I think I don't want to go it that way, but I think our mindset to how we do our deals as Africans, it's totally wrong and it's very poor, because these people are giving us the money that, in a way, they took from us. Just recently, I think 2 days ago, I was watching a documentary, and the documentary was about Chinese building the political state house in Zimbabwe. Like, they went there and they took the gold, they took the bauxite, the copper, and it's worth billions. And they build a house for you for 200 million, and you are happy over that, and you are praising them. In a way, they are stealing from us. So we are not self-dependent economically, because we are not able to give food to ourselves. And that is the advantage that they have. And these people are building systems of intelligence to monitor human behaviors. We don't have such things like that. Meanwhile, it's our people that they are using to help them build some of these things. They gather their intelligence through Africans to know who Africans are. So we should dig deep down and know that the way that they have been able to dominate over us is because they've been able to know our mentality. They've been able to know that let's provide this food for them, easy food, like, and we are good to go because they say African, anything they bring is supposed to be free, and now we become Africans, and that is really why they have been able to dominate over us. If you are not economically stable, there's no way we should go to these countries and ask them that we want to be independent, because right now for me I still feel like there is no, maybe one or two countries in Africa that are politically independent, but with this Independence Day that they are celebrating, I think there's nothing. There is no independence for us as it stands now, because we are in a way dependent on them every year. My country Ghana, every day we complain about it. From the time I was born till now, we keep adding onto our debts. We keep adding year in, year out. We've never paid. And they talk about debt cancellation. If you cancel debt with somebody for even 20 years, the person is still, you are still having it in your mind, and the person also have it in their mind that this person is owing me. And I've just allowed them to live freely. In a way, you are in bond, you are in change for them for the rest of your life. And that is actually what is happening. We have been in chains in their hands for the rest of our lives because they gave us money we weren't able to pay, and we are still borrowing money from them. And in my country, the biggest gold sites where they extract gold, the country is getting unbelievably 3%, 3% out of it. And it's humanly impossible for a country to sit there and think that somebody is coming to take my gold and the person is going to give me 3%. And
Right
with
now,
their money
let me
that they
just
are
inform you,
only 3%.
the government in Eritrea makes themselves for 49%. Can you imagine?
Yeah, yeah, 49%. And even with that, what they are going to make is without taxes. But even us, with what they are making is with taxes.
3%.
And yeah, and with that, we don't even know the amount that they are extracting every day, because every week they bring their helicopters and they take it away. So they are going to, in a way, tell us that, oh, we made 5,000 pounds or ounce of gold, and it's because we are owing them and we keep owing them, and now we are not economically independent.
No.
And this is the reason why Africa, as it stands now, if we are not able to rise up and know our affairs and do our negotiations well, we will just be speaking in thin air about being independent. But the first thing is, you cannot go to your mother when when we were children. You go to your mother, tell mommy, I want to go here. You tell her, where are you going? Where are you going to come back? I'm going to come back in the evening. He said, when you go, stay there. If you know you stay in this house, go and come back at this time. The person is having that dominance on you because they are providing for you. But if you are somewhere and you are providing for yourself, there is no way that person is going to tell you come back at this time or go there, do this, do that. So our main problem is the economic independence that we don't have as Africans. And it's because we don't know the things that we are selling. We don't know the things that we actually have, and we just know them by name, not by the values that they carry. We know we are African, we have copper, we have this, but we don't know the values that it carries. So the first thing that we should do as Africans, as Dr. Feshin said, is for us to be able to be economically independent. And I agree with that 100%. That's the first thing, because we cannot go to Chinese, we cannot go to Americans, we cannot go to any other countries, Europeans, and tell them that we want to be independent. Meanwhile, they are providing for us. And they had this plan since the 80s, since the 70s. They know what they are doing. They've built the intelligence and they've built it. But for me, I trust Africans that no matter the intelligence that white man will build, there is this natural resistance that we have, and when it comes out, all their intelligence fail. When it comes out, no matter the intelligence that they've built, if Africans say we are not doing this, they have to now find another system to work out for them, because they built us, they built that system for us based on the people that they met and not the emerging Africans. And we have natural skills of finding our ways through life. So I think it's time we come together and know that this is our time. We come together and devise our natural ways to get out of some of these things.
Beautiful summary, Mr. Bruce. Let me just right now, let
Excellent.
me finish something, and then we're going to go to Muhammad,
All
because
right,
I
sir.
want to touch something. Ghana, 139 billion. Of course, you have to be a slave. You got to pay. You got to pay. They will take the gold. You take everything, and then they will still
Yeah.
indebt you, because this is what's happened. Eritrea 3.75 billion. Do you think Eritrea can serve a role model in this situation to Africa?
Yeah. Hmm.
Go ahead.
Yeah. I think Eritrea 3.7 billion, with even one deal, they'll be able to pay that. So there's no way that anybody can come and dictate to them, because with what they make a week from our country is more than 3.7 billion.
It's crazy.
What they make a week, just 1 week from our country, is more than 3.7 billion. And not only gold, there are other resources that they've been able to tap. My father was a timber contractor, and he said that they'll take the timber, they go to the Chinese, and the Chinese will dictate to them the amount they want to pay for the timber. The Chinese are going to dictate, we want to pay this amount. And he said, why do you want to pay this amount? They tell you that's the price. So my father introduced me to forex trading. And when you go on the indices market, you check the exotics, you know that what they are paying us is way lesser. But we are not able to find our ways to some of these technologies. So I say, if we are not finding our ways to these technologies and they know how to do their deals and they are going to cheat us for it, we should put it there. And when they need it, they will come and we'll put a price on it. And that's when they will know that we are self-dependent and we are economically dependent. We've been in China and we meet Chinese. When we have a value and Chinese need it and they are not paying you well for it, it's better you stay home, because you cannot keep selling your self-dignity to somebody for money. And that is what Africans have been doing. We keep selling ourselves for money. So with what Eritrea has done, with one deal, they can close that debt. And it's not even debt. I think there's an equity debt. It's like equity, cash flow, cash in. So it's just not something that has been is on their head. It's just a transactional debt that they are having. So anytime they can cancel that. But for other African countries, we cannot do that, because these debts are huge. And we keep borrowing. As I'm talking to you, they are going to borrow $100 million for food. Imagine Africa borrowing money for food supply. What at all? What at all is
That's
this?
ironic. Yeah.
Yeah, what
Okay.
at all is this?
Right there, I will go to you. By the way, the food they give us for aid, we cannot even plant it. Do you know this? They chemically spoil it. We cannot. You can't actually. You only can eat it. Period.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
unbelievable.
You can
Mr.
plant it.
Yunus,
Okay. Yeah. I just want to make a just underscore what Bruce said. Call it east, west. Whoever, whichever you where you go, they need to see you strong. The moment you're, weak, everyone is going to be there to eat your resources and take you like all the stuff that you have. So, but the Chinese, lenient towards Chinese is that the freedom that we get being us, like like not too much intervention in terms of politics and all that. But corruption, we know, is a big issue, but it is our responsibility not to be corrupt. If you're corrupt, they become corrupt. That's the biggest problem that we see. So, like, a lot of even South Africa, I heard from South Africa people, I heard from some friends, even from Morocco and everything. And, they say the Chinese are corrupt and everything, but that's not the point. The point is, if you are corrupt, you they will be corrupt. If you steal, they will steal. Okay? If you show them this is the way I go, this is what I want, you be very like serious about it, underline everything that you want. They're not gonna break it. Trust me. That's the thing. So the difference, the relationship Eritrea having with China is I have this, you have this, we do this. Everything is like uh, lined up, and all procedures and steps are clear, and there's no way you can cross it. So corruption, relatively, in Eritrea is, we can say, zero. And so we have to fight also how our African brothers, especially those in leadership, stay away from corruption. Nothing is enough. Think about your brother and sister. Like you have millions, and they still want some more millions. Nothing is enough, and that's how they make you slave. They give you some money, a little bit to some of the leaders, and then they take the whole resources that you have. So we have to have good leadership.
It's
Our
very
leaders.
strange to hear 3% of our resources in Ghana.
It's sad. It is sad. Very sad.
Yes, it makes me
Nothing. By the way, it's
completely. 3%.
yeah.
You cannot get that kind of deal in Eritrea, man. No, the guy
No,
doesn't. know
no
that
deal.
kind. And then Ghana is number one gold producer in Africa.
Oh yeah,
Because
Ashanti.
of other resources and this much indebtedness ripping it off, and our people there are suffering too much.
I
Something has to change. Something has to change. What do you think, Muhammad, in this?
Mohammed, yeah, give it a chance.
I think the economic independence is like a problem now. It's like a huge problem that I think it will take so many years for us to eliminate it, because this our political independence to these countries now, it has hugely impacted our even political independence. Now even our leaders are told what to do and what not to do. And furthermore, in even other countries, we are told that they were even told who to elect in positions, like who to be the president. So this is like hugely affecting even our democracy. Uh, in some cases, I've heard like if there is a president who they never wanted a person to be the president for their own interest, they might even fund their rebel groups so as to fight and cause chaos in countries, so as just to eliminate the man that they don't want. And we have seen this in like in some African countries. Though for me, it hasn't. I haven't been like. I haven't like. Had proof to it, but people say that these countries, they even fund some rebel groups to fight. Oh, we don't want that leader. We want such person to come into power. All this is for them just to have a good gap for exploitation. And this political independence in some countries, and I think Mr. Fatsun, you help me. In a country like Zambia, the Chinese, they like control even the power system in the country. Like they are responsible for electricity in the country. They sell that, so they own like the major, like the power distribution in the country is not controlled by the civils. It's controlled by the Chinese. So when we reach such kind of stage where a foreign nation comes and control your electricity, it's even easy for them to do what they want to do to affect your economy, because once the power is not stable, probably even the industry won't be working, or probably they will want to do whatever they want to do with the economy. And also, in some cases, we have seen this huge political independence and this debt that they keep increasing on us. Sometimes they come into negotiations, they'll be like, oh, you can't pay this, now we owe you so much. What if you give us maybe your harbor? Let us control your harbor, or maybe let us control your mines, as Bruce said, maybe in his country. In some countries, these people, they even control people. They control the harbors, So they, like we all know, like a harbor is a huge economic gateway because there are so much revenue is collected from harbors. So once they come and control that, or control our mines, and control maybe the electricity, the national electricity grid in country like Zambia. So this causes us to be like even I don't know how to call it, but I just think it's like kind of disrespectful because they will control us in a way that we can't even believe, we can't even imagine. So, and the bad thing is they're even controlling our freedom, our democracy. So, like telling us what to do, what not to do, simply because um, of the debts that they owe us. Is even making me angry to this topic. But I sincerely think this economic independence that we have is the root cause of, and will continue being the cause of so many problems in our countries. And it will reach a point, maybe we have so many resources, but we don't have the rights to them, simply because we're highly indebted to these countries. So I think we should try our level best to find ways to reduce the economic independency. Maybe to start with our leaders, with them, as Dr. Jonas said, the greediness that they have, they want this, they want that, they are so much rich, but they still want more. This may leads them to sign contracts that will put us in high debts for so many years, and will put us in a huge manipulation by these countries. So I just think that the political independency is a huge problem, and we should like try to, as much as we can, to eliminate it.
Thank you.
Because yeah.
Obviously, what they do, go ahead. What they
No,
do,
I'm done.
they give you money,
Yeah.
okay? Then you have to pay the interest, okay? While you pay the interest, corruption inside the country weakens you. Then they make you divided, fighting here, and then they make you again borrow more. They just collect what do you call the interest. And then at times they give you a break on the interest. For example, 50% of the interest, okay, we have given you a break, but that's one thing. And then that's why Africans are trying to do the IMF, International Monetary Fund, to African Monetary Fund. We have to have our own money. We got to have
Yeah.
our own resources in Africa. We got to have free movement for all Africans to go anywhere, learn, work, integrate, make families with all of us, you know what I'm saying? Mix it up. And then
Yeah,
this is
true.
what Africans are trying to do, but it's a long way to go. I think the Eritrean government has shown us a way to do it. And then,
And sorry to interrupt you, but in that point where you said that we need to have our own monetary fund, I recall just a few weeks ago, with what's happening in Sudan lately, and they needed some amount. I think it's about 80 million. Uh, for I think they needed that money for, like, I think it was for like evacuation of people and doing some stuff with what's going on there in Sudan. So I heard the Kenyan president saying that like Sudan is waiting on this money from from the World Bank, OMF, if I'm not mistaken. And he was like, why can the African Union, like, why does the African Union fail to provide 80 million to Sudan so as they can set whatever they have, and they have to wait on $80 million from this huge world money things. So I just think that you're right, that we should have our own IMF, we should have our own monetary fund, that, like, because if we have the African Union and we can't help ourselves with such amounts, so what's even the meaning of it? So I just think, or just to clarify your point, I think it's very important for us to have our own the monetary funds and stuff. Yeah.
I do believe we're going that way. Africans are going that way. Oh, in your generation, you guys have to fix it.
Yeah.
You guys got
Yeah.
to fix it. And then you will fix it. I think probably 30, 40 years from now on, things will be okay. What do you think? So you're not to this what I'm
So
talking
I
about.
think
Yeah, go ahead, Bruce.
with the monetary issues, like the monetary fund, we are talking about money here, but the monies that we spend as Africans are not even united itself. There are about 33 different currencies in Africa, and none of them is able to close transactions outside.
Wow.
When Sudan they needed the money, they were talking the money in dollars, not the money in Sudan currency, not the money in maybe African Union currency. They are talking it in dollars. So the currencies that we have in Africa is not even united. So we cannot close a deal with Americans using the Ghana cedi, or we cannot close it using the Rwandan francs. They've made us put ourselves in that corner that our currency doesn't have any value. So the first thing of changing it is integrating our currencies and making at least having like they are doing with the BRICS system. The British, the Russians, and the Chinese, they want to also have that kind of independence. So they are trying to also build their reserves with this BRICS currency that they have.
Yeah, please
What are Africans doing? Yeah,
talk
that
about
is what they
BRICS.
are doing now. Yeah, BRICS. So that is what they are doing to just devalue the dollar. So if they are able to devalue the dollar and they are able to dethrone the dollar, that means these countries are going to be dependent to some level. And that is what they are fighting for. So I think the first thing we should do as Africans is to find, if not all the African countries, when the West African countries start, when the East African countries start, when the North African countries start, we will be able to have at least 4 different currencies in Africa that will be able to close deals outside. And when you are closing deals outside, we are not going to bid on the US dollar. If we are not able to do that, then every day our money is going to be reserved in the World Bank, in the IMF, and even if you create African Monetary Fund, bet me is going to be closed in dollars. They are going to talk dollars here, and that means still we are going to be indebted to the dollar. Because when the dollar is high, when the dollar is down, that means our currencies are going to keep fluctuating like that. So with we having a monetary system, I think we should first find a way, if not integrating the currencies to one, have the North African currency, the West African currency, the East African. Because if you carry your money from Ethiopia and you are going somewhere in Central Africa Republic, your money is nothing. They ask you what is it. But when you go to Central Africa Republic and you show dollar, they know it. They say, "Oh, okay, dollars is good," So our money is not of any value, and that is the first thing that we'll be able to do: integrate the monies into maybe 4 different systems before we can come together. And that one, I think we can do it in a very short moment. With what Eritrean government and Eritrean president is showing us, when we leave that with Eritrea and Ethiopia, because even Ethiopia, I saw some documentary, Chinese are taking over, and it's so huge. So it's better that we integrate our monies, and when they are coming to close deals in Africa, they close it in our local currencies, not in US dollars. When we are also closing any deals with them, we close it in our currencies, not in their currency.
I really
Thank you.
appreciate Mr. Bruce. I think you are a very intelligent young man. I see a lot of potential on you, man. You already created you brought some creative idea, like
Yeah.
zoning the money, south, west, east, north, and then finally amalgamating it into one. This is the right idea. This kind of creativity we need. Mr. Muhammad, I was very impressed with your knowledge as well. I was going to go to the next, unless Jonas maybe.
No, you can go to the next one because we're kind of running out of time. But I really appreciate the good ideas and
Beautiful.
perspectives that are coming from both of you. I see young leaders
Oh, yeah.
uh, from every angle, and this is what we want to see in Mother Africa. New generation, the millennials, are really getting it. This is the time to stand up for ourselves and be independent and bring our resources back. What Mohammed's concern was amazing in terms of you have the resource, but then you don't have the power to use it. To that extent,
It's
you know
amazing.
how, yeah, if you have resource and then your resource is under like a remote control of somebody, that's sad, you know. So
Extremely.
we have to flip that back, and we have to get away, you know, especially the new generation. We have to teach our kids what it means to be African, and what it means to use your own resource without, you know, talking about ethnicity and this group, that group. We all are black nation, black African.
It's
Okay,
crazy.
we have to be proud of who we are and work on it. Like we are mentally stolen. Like, you know, the colonization has colonized our brain, so we have to get that out. We don't have to say the white man did this, it's already done. Let's just, you know, forget everything. Not forget, but like, you know, let's just start afresh from scratch. Do our homework, stay out of blamings and stuff, like blaming others. You
That's
know,
why I got mad at those African students when I came to China in 2017. When I saw the Chinese people so healthy looking, young people enjoying in African sari, and I even heard some of them sell drugs. I was mad, man. I was really mad. Of course, most of them go to school, but we Africans got to wake up. We have to wake up and do it ourselves, man. We have the richest continent in the world. Africans, uh, imagine, like 49 African leaders come to the United States, US, Africa Summit, and Biden sits down lecturing them, and okay, you're going to take this much money if you do this. Check out what they did to Ethiopians. They just messed it up completely. Good democracy, just like this. And when Isaias refuses to go with them, they didn't refuse actually. They refused. There is something called bilateral and unilateral relationship. Bilateral means one to one. But the white man doesn't want that. Unilateral, let me dominate you, let me give you food. At one point, the president asked the journalist, why do you want to feed us when we don't ask you? Why do you want to give us food? You know, crazy because they don't want you to plant and grow. 49 African leaders come and then he stayed home, okay? Because he doesn't have to listen to the white man. He has no debt from them. And economic independence gives you political independence. But I will go to the next one now.
oh, can I add just one point on that? With respect to being aided by somebody else, logically and philosophically, we know that when you are being fed, you ultimately become crippled. This is simple logic. If I feed you, you sit, and then somebody is feeding you, giving you, you become, your muscles are crippled. You cannot walk, you cannot even breathe, you cannot even defend yourself. And then
Sure.
they start slapping you. Whoever is feeding you is taking away your freedom. So it's a, in the name of freedom, your freedom is being taken away.
Absolutely.
So this is something that you know, like even from a very at a low level, you know, when somebody is not spending energy to get energy, okay, ultimately that person or that individual is going to be enslaved. And that's what they did to us. Like they give you, and then mentally you become crippled, you don't even invent, and then you start like saying, okay, give me, give me, give me. You become like literally you sold out your freedom in the name of being aided. So no, we don't, like he can be supported. Support is something else, okay? But you know, support is okay to help each other and everything. But
There's a lot of noise on the background, doctor. It's going to
okay,
be very hard to sustain it.
okay. Let me just tell him like this is a cough.
Okay. I will remove him. Let me tell you something. When you refuse to get food from them, then they accuse you of genocide in Ethiopia. That's what they tried to do to this president. They want to nail him. Okay, your soldiers did this. There was a war. Isaias was defending his country, but genocide. It's crazy. But anyway, I'm going to go to the next phase of the question. Something has to be done. My generation is wasted. I hope your generation will fix the whole problem. I hope so.
Yes, sir.
Bright people like Bruce and Muhammad got to do something. They got to stop the white man messing around the continent. Okay? Because we have so much and we cannot feed ourselves. Africans free themselves. Okay, here is my next question is going to be this. Little bit of analysis to that. Okay. History tells that the United States had been the backbone of colonialism and neocolonialism, as we know. They colonized us. They left after armed struggle, and then they started neocolonialism, and then we are in this situation. But our greedy politicians, it went as far as overthrowing and replacing popular regimes, for heaven's sake, anywhere they want, impeding African development by sanctioning them out of the West Bank and IMF privilege. Instead of bilateral relationship, unilateral relationships happen to be the modus operandi of the West, diplomatically with us, okay? They went as far as savagely assassinating our activists like Patrice Lumumba. They nailed him. You kill somebody and you bring somebody else. They even had the gap to label Nelson Mandela as a terrorist man in apartheid South Africa.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? It accused also, all this combined for accused President Isaias 2017 for undermining democracy and civil rights violations. Check this out now. Okay? It further accused him of committing genocide in Ethiopia. Can you imagine? In Ethiopia in the recent war in Tigray, while they were feeding the war themselves, sending food to fighters, to the rebels that were disturbing the nation. You know, okay. In contrast, 58% of American adults remain under sixth grade education. This is fact. 58%. Americans. It's very scary, man. With 28% of them totally illiterate, they can't read, they can't write. 28% of Americans. Check this out. Since 2000, close to 1 million Americans have perished of drug overdose. Okay? 37 million citizens above 12 using illicit substances right now, while 85% of American prisoners have been convicted or connected in relation to crimes like that, to drugs. Check this out. We have over 2 million prisoners in America, 300 some million people, versus to 1.7 million in China. Can you imagine? Over 2 million, the highest prisoners concentration camp in America and in the whole world. And then we're only about, how many percent are we? 6% or something, we Americans. And then the highest. America contains 393 million privately owned firearms. Every home has firearms. Can you imagine? Things everywhere. Things everywhere. Okay, causing about 49,000 violent deaths of gun alone every year. The number constantly increasing ahead. There is 7.9 million Americans, which is 11.6% live in poverty, ladies and gentlemen, with massive homelessness all over the country, staggering right now. What you see in Philadelphia streets, in Los Angeles, they even give them needles to shoot themselves. They give them, they supply them with pipes to smoke meth, whatever they smoke. It's just messed up, completely out of control. Caution. Does America earn the moral authority to accuse other leaders such as President Isaias in this regard? For corruption or something? For like, by fabricating things like that, they have moral authority to accuse any African leader for being unjust to its people. Can the US be the role model of democracy and human rights in Africa? You understand? With all these kind of things going on, people shooting each other everywhere, kids killing each other in schools. Whites, blacks, Spanish, they don't even mix. Everybody's separate. You understand? Therefore, is this a role model of peace for us? The United States of America, because he gives us some money. The role model of peaceful coexistence as a nation. The role model of peaceful society. You know what I'm saying? With all these staggering, uh, what do you call it, statistics in the ground. Please join me. Maybe Bruce. Can you go, Bruce, on it?
Okay, sir. I think with these scary numbers that Americans are having with these violence and these gun arms and other stuff, uh, we cannot solely dwell on what is happening in America, but we can take it from them that they cannot give us any peace, because there is no place where America has gone for peace resolution that has ended well. It's with time, it's either it's going to escalate or there's going to be hatred between America and that country. So America has never given anybody peace. They are there because of their own political and economic interest. That is what we are supposed to know as Africans. But to be able to deal with such a big problem with respect to Africans, when I was coming from Ghana, and not only Ghanaians, Nigerians, other African countries, they talk about it. They'll tell you that I will either go to America and be a prisoner than stay in Africa. The reason being that in American prison, they are going to support the individuals. They are going to work, they are going to get food to eat. But when the person is in Africa, there is nothing like a support of food. And from my infants, when I hear things like that, I think I get devastated. I'd be like, what at all? Why would you like to go and be a prisoner somewhere? And this whole problem comes down to our economic reliance on some of these people, because with what is happening there, they still come back to promise us huge monies. They still come back to promise us peace. Meanwhile, Africans, as I know, don't want to hear bloodshed. We have culture, and our culture doesn't even permit us to fight each other. So it is these same people who come back, create and perpetrate some of these wars, and get us involved for us to kill ourselves. For example, what happened in Rwanda genocide? It was the West that actually perpetrated everything between two great tribal relatives. And when you hear from Rwandese, you know that people were even staying in homes. People were married to people of that tribe, and they started killing themselves. Somebody will kill their wife, somebody will kill their neighbors. Somebody has fought with pride to be Rwandese for a long time, and somebody just come in and just disturb your mentality, and you start killing yourself. So when we talk about peace, we should tag the Americans as people who are infringing against human rights to live, not on African leaders, like they did to Robert Mugabe, like they did to South African president. Like these things are just something that they have built their intelligence on, as I was speaking earlier on. They have the intelligence and they know how to dominate. So we cannot blame them for what they are doing, because politics is power, and human beings are greedy for power. We are naturally greedy for power and for money. So if you give them the chance to dominate you and to take your power and your money, they are going to do it. The same happens to everybody, except people who are holding their culture and their heritage in strong hands. If not, if we give them the chance, anytime, anywhere, they are going to dominate. And that is human psychology. That is who we are. That's how God has created us. We are naturally greedy. So if you are giving them the chance to come and take over, they are going to come, not respecting their numbers, not respecting what is happening over there, but promising you heaven on earth. Meanwhile, they are living in hell. So I think we should stand up to not the numbers alone, but let the numbers speak for themselves, that America cannot give us peace. Because day in, day out, we are hearing shootings and other stuff in America. We are hearing every day they are convicting criminals, and as you said, 28% illiterates. That means crime rate is definitely higher. Crime rate is definitely higher. So Me, I bring all of these things to my level. For example, I'm living in China. Chinese are giving me scholarship. If I don't live my life well and they take this scholarship from me, there is no government support. There is no personal support from any African. So if you are in this state, you'll be forced to live in this country because after you are done with your degree, they still promise you of a scholarship. When you go back to Africa, there you have nothing. So it will come back to this economic reliance. We are not economically independent and we cannot take care of our own affairs. We cannot take care of our own mouths. This is the reason why still when these people come and promise our people of good life, they believe them, and they promise them of peace. They believe them because they are still dependent on them for their daily lives, their daily living. So with the numbers that we have, with the statistics that we have, that is for them and that's for their country. It's up to us to know that these people cannot do anything to help us. So we cannot rely on them for anything, for any peace. Because for me, I've stayed with Africans. There is no African I've stayed with who encourage fighting or misunderstanding or quarreling. No, there is not even one, because our culture alone doesn't permit us to do some of these things. So why then is it that we are fighting among ourselves in 21st century Sudan? Fighting, it's something that we I think the African intelligence are supposed to dive into it, but they cannot do that because even after doing it, the results are going straight to the west before we get the results. These are deep political things that when we talk about it, our bones are going to shiver every day, because it's really sad we are talking about it like this and there's nothing that can be done about it, except we ourselves come together as countries, as people, and know that this thing, it cannot work. But for me, if I'm here and you promise me, oh, let's follow Pan-Africanism, let's do that, let's do that, let's do that, and I'm supposed to leave my school and I go somewhere and they're not going to give me the scholarship, Africans are going to turn back to me and say, you got the opportunity, you misplaced it. And right now, African opportunity is always at the West. It's always with America, with Canada. That's when they call it opportunity. When you get an opportunity from your country to go and study somewhere, maybe I'm a Ghanaian, I get an opportunity to go and study in South Africa, I don't consider that as an opportunity. I consider a heavenly opportunity to be, I'm going to US, I'm going to that, I'm going to that, I'm going to that. And we can all testify to it. When you are living in US and you are moving back from US to Africa, it's like you are moving for war. You are changing your life, for you are making a very great step, which is not supposed to be. You are going home. If you are going home, is it supposed to be something very difficult for you? No. So with all what we have been said, I think Americans and Chinese, they have their own countries that they should live and have their stuff. But for us, we are supposed to decide and know that these people cannot give us peace. These people cannot give us good life. These people cannot give us any stability, because they themselves in their country, they are actually having problems with some of these things that they are promising us. Thank you.
Very bright, extremely bright. Bruce, I'm so confident on you. I'm so impressed by your intelligence because the way you approach the issues, African issues, and then how alert your mind is. I'm so impressed. I believe academically, you're also a high achiever. Um, I am really proud of you, as your dad.
Thank you.
Uh,
Wow.
of course, if you disrespect yourself, you will get it. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be tough on this. Anything, Muhammad, you may put in? Probably before I go to your Nas, maybe.
Thank you. On the peace side, I find it so strange too that we find the Western countries as the role model of peace, as the statistics that you have given us and the news that you have been hearing. Even we have been hearing news of people and children less than 18 years, maybe 9, 13, shooting people in a school, shooting people holding firearms and stuff. And yet we consider these nations that they can bring peace to us. uh, I just find it weirdly strange that we believe in that, because I think, as Bruce said, even our customs and our traditions, they don't uh, they don't make us fight. They always seem to make us come together, and they always seem to unify and solidify us. So, for exa- for example, in this peace thing, I think also the economic maybe some maybe our economic dependence on them also can lead them to dictate that, oh, if maybe we can help you economically, maybe perhaps we can also help you bring peace to your side. Maybe for example, in the case of Libya, what happened in Libya, these people, they were like, oh, maybe they tend to dictate like, oh, now so we can maybe dictate maybe on also on your political issues. They tend to say what's wrong and what's right. They tend to aid civil groups to fight and these rebel groups to fight against governments. Then they come and say, oh, we can bring peace to you guys. But I think the root cause there themselves, because maybe if they see a African country is maturing, is growing, is flourishing very well, they'll tend to like start some conflict, uh, tend start some conflicts, maybe aid some rebel groups so that they could come in the middle. They tend to be the negotiators, but they still have their political, maybe and the economic aim that they want, the objective that they want to achieve in these countries. So I think we are not supposed to see these people as the role model of peace, because clearly from the facts, they have failed to maintain their peace in their own countries with all mass shootings and all the things that we have been hearing from them. So I think African countries should portray, and I think it has always portrayed themselves as like peaceful, based on our customs, on our traditions, and on our African spirit. We have all portrayed. Even here in China, you'd barely meet someone that you know, even their name or where they came from. But since from approach you say, oh, this is African, we tend to greet each other without even knowing, like we even nod their head like, hey, hi. So I think from where you're coming from, like it has always taught us to be unified. It has always taught us to have that brotherhood relationship amongst ourselves. So we shouldn't tend to rely on someone on bringing peace to us, because that will also lead to so many problems, like economically and politically. So yeah, I think we shouldn't rely on these countries as the role model of our peace.
Jonas, before I turn to you, what is surprising is what people think about America as a big deal. Okay, to me, really, man, it scares me to be here. You don't even know when you're going to die. We just listened. We just heard about two shots, few blocks away, and two kids were shot on it. This is about 2 hours before I came here. Can you imagine? It just happens quite often. You don't know when to do it, how to make it, because you can go outside, something can happen. Not only that, it just Africa is beautiful. Man. The whole world is beautiful. We think United States is a big deal, very big deal. Trust me, you will see the worst kind of homelessness here, man. The worst kind of drug disaster, drug abuse, and humiliation in the streets of Philadelphia, Los Angeles. Check it out in your computer. You will see how disgusting it is. America is not an alternative for Africans. Africa is. We just have to remodel it. We just have to change the policies. We just have to do beautiful things for ourselves, like Ghana has one of the best democracies in Africa now. We want to see this in East Africa. We will talk about that. But Dr. Jonas, do you have something to throw on the subject? Well, we'll talk
Wow, that's most of the stuff that's been said by Mohammed and Bruce and Engineer is the factual truth. That's exactly what's happening, and yeah, it's impressive to hear these young voices.
Oh,
And this is not only from this is the voice of more than 50% of the young generation now is aware. We just have to, keep teaching them, showing awareness is very important. Now I think Africa is coming back to where it should be. Um, uh, Time for us to use our resources, uh, using our own technology and our own knowledge and everything without any pressure from anyone, call it east or west, So I really appreciate, the voices that I heard from Muhammad and Bruce today. But I just want to underline something, when it comes to dominance and self-sufficiency. Uh, if you want to really to be self-sufficient, the first thing you should do is plant things, you know, as a culture, you know, uh, just plant something, be connected with nature, beautiful nature. That's the foundation of life. So Patrice Lumumba and Thomas Sankara were killed the moment they start agriculture, trying to teach their people self-sufficiency. You know,
It's
the
very true.
moment you become self-sufficient, food, as Bruce said, the moment you start feeding yourself, there is an enemy trying to kill you.
Absolutely. They call it the United States of America. They don't want us to feed ourselves, man. They call it the United States of America. Then also, they don't even give us good food. The food they give you is chemically processed, not to be planted, man. You just have
Yeah.
to eat it.
So, we have to teach the new generation on how to get connected with nature, Mother Nature, how to be good in agriculture, and how to love each other, help each other. You know, Africa, go west, east, south, whatever. We all are Africans.
We
Wherever
all
you go, we all are Africans. So we have to bring that. We have to come out of mental slavery. You know, we have to emancipate ourselves.
absolutely.
Like, that's because they started taking our land in the form of colonization, and ultimately they colonized our brain. We have to come out of that. Young generations, like, not this one, but my generation, like going to the west is like going to heaven and something like that. It used to be like that.
We
We
used to
have to
do it.
reverse it. We have to reverse that. We have to know that's the wrong way. You cannot solve a problem by staying away from the problem, the source of the.
Sorry, some noises behind you. That
Yeah, man, I'm in the cafeteria, so
it
that's,
was a break
yeah,
in the game.
let me just stop right here.
Go ahead.
And then, no, go ahead. I'll just.
Okay. What it is about is it's about building confidence. Like for example, I feel so much at home when I go to Africa, travel anywhere in Africa. From West, I hope I will visit all of them before I die. Okay. How beautiful it would be in West Africa. Imagine just being in any country, Tanzania or Zimbabwe, how you would feel as an African versus being in China or me being in America, Africa is beautiful, man. It's so beautiful. And then I think our kids are catching up. They're getting educated very much so. And I do believe at one point they will break it, because we went through colonialism. It took a long time to liberate our countries. Ghana was the first liberation that happened in Africa. And then they tried Nkrumah, Haile Selassie, and the others, Secretary was there, I think. And then Uganda's Obote. All this tried to make Pan-Africanism, but it didn't work. It was too early for us to do it. We were just coming out of colonialism, you see. But now we have exercised colonialism so much. We have all liberated our countries. We have passed through neo-colonialism. I think Africa should be ready to go back to business. And then our kids must go around. They must know each other. They got to be comfortable to live in another African country rather than coming to the West and wasting our lives here. Because my generation did it. The new generation should concentrate in Africa, the way I look at it. But my last question to you, beautiful kids, When I say kids, it's because I consider you my loving kids. That's it. Age wise and others, because I'm qualified to be your dad, okay? Anyway, so proud to have we have seen things change in terms of democracy in Africa. As you know, one of them being Ghana. Rawlings did a great job, in my opinion. Great job. He transited, his dictatorship transited into what we see democracy right now. And Africa right now has one of the best democracies in Ghana, in Liberia, in Botswana, which is beautiful. Coming back to Tanzania, you know what Nyerere did? Actually, he also transformed it into democracy. I do believe these two leaders were my example of incumbent transition that I want to see in Eritrea and in other countries. You understand what I'm saying? Although I'm very much in defense of the vigilance and then the self-reliance attitude of President Isaias, I also have a problem in terms of democratizing the country, which soon will have to come. How do you feel about your political system individually? Of course, Mohammed, probably you can go first. The political system in Tanzania, in terms of, I mean, say whatever you want to say. I do believe you have the freedom of speech to a certain extent. That shouldn't hurt you when you go back home, but use it as much as you want to use it. What do you see in Tanzania, and what do you see? What is encouraging, and what would you like to see changing anyway?
Thank
Okay,
you.
so hold on. We're running out of time, so 2 minutes for every individual.
Okay, good.
Okay.
Okay, sir.
For my country, Tanzania, the political system, I think it has escalated so much since the previous president, President Magufuli, who recently died in 2020, because he was that kind of leader who never gave who really showed the spirit to fight for a nation. So things kind of took a turn when he was president, because he was an example and he could publicly say that we can do this, because for example, there was an agreement whereby we had to build another port in Dar es Salaam, and one of the companies that they were bidding for the tender, they were the Chinese company, and this Chinese company say that if we have to build that port for you, we have to run it for like 20 years ourselves so that we can return the money that we have invested. And he publicly came and said, no, we can't agree. And he also said that, and I quote, it's only a madman who would agree to such terms. So from him being a president and to the president that we have now, I think the political system it is strengthening, and this has shed light to all the Tanzanians, knowing that there are bad people who want bad things for our country, and they are bad, and they bring bad terms, bad contracts. So also him taking steps to build things like the standard gauge in our country. Like now we are going to have the high-speed trains. These they are all seen as the things that we can't accomplish by ourselves, that we need to depend maybe on the Chinese or on the people from US to come and build them for us. So I think the political system now is good, relating to leaders taking responsibility for our country and showing that we can do things on our own. Also, even on the between the political system, also even on the, because my country is a it's a democratic country, so there are like many political parties. So even the other political parties that are not into power, they also say good things about the government. They also tend not to fight, but to maybe give advice and also congratulate where it needs to be congratulated. So I think the political system in my country is escalating, and I see probably in next few years to come, it's gonna be good, and it's gonna bring good impact to my country. Yeah.
Very interesting. And how about Mr. Bruce? Probably the next president of Ghana, maybe? Maybe? Was this
I
Ghana
see.
intelligence?
Thank you. Yeah. I think with the government system, as you said, what Rawlings came to Ghana to do, that guy up to now is still celebrated. Because, sorry, I think that democracy is a governmental system, and we know that the government is the people. So if you know your people, you should know your government. So as Ghanaians, what we know is that we say we have in our local language, we say that there is wisdom not in one man's head. The wisdom is not only in one man's head. So that means there's supposed to be this side and this side of the story that we come together to form one common thing. So that was how democracy emerged in Ghana. And it has been fought for so many years. Even the Western people, they come and they fight. They really want to infiltrate into the governmental system to choose who the leader is going to be. But because the democracy has been given to the people, although they can do some kululus and some stuff in there when there is time for voting, but still, because it has been given to the people to decide. Because right now we know that when there is black and there is white, if you come and you don't perform well, that means there's an opportunity for black to also come and show us what they have to do. And that is who the people are. In Ghana, that is who we are. We want to try different things, and we believe that having one government system is not going to help a person to think, because we are going to be dependent on the government only. And we know that everything that we are doing as a country is going to be only on one government. But if we know that there is going to be two governmental systems, then that means that the other government who is in power is going to think. And not that when you're in power, you're the only person in power. We have the minority groups who are also going to support you. So if you are majority now and you don't perform well, the minority is going to take over some time to come. So this is actually what is going to help a country to develop, so that the people are not going to feel, because in as much as we are one country, we are different people from different areas of life. We have Muslims and we have Christians. We have different tribes also. We have people who are obese. We have people who are slim. We have preferences as human beings. And I think that the different values that we bring on table is what makes life pleasant for human beings. So we having different values and different things is going to make life really encouraging and not make life down at all. So with the democracy that we hold as Ghanaians, I'm so proud of it, and I think that this is what we should be very, very, very consistent with as Africans, because this is who African people we are. When you meet any African person, what they really want is that they really want to think. And if you want an African man to think, you have to bring something that is competitive, so that the person will be able to fight for what they really believe in. And if we are not having a democratic system that is going to teach us the government that we have, we are supposed to fight for the government, so that we know that we are going to be in power or we are going to be dethroned, then that one is up to you as a country, because you are going to fail definitely. Because it's not going to work for us like Chinese, where for them it works for them, because for them they want one party system to work for them, and that is what works for them. So as I said, if you know the people, you know the government, and if you know the government, you'll be able to know what is actually going to work for the government. So democracy for Africa is the best, and is the best for Africa. We should just forget about the other countries. Thank you. And also added to this, I think the last part is, I have a question that we have to build ties with Africans and not with the West. We have to build ties with Africans, as Dr. Jonas was saying. In their generation, going to America was like heaven. Right now, in our generation, going to America is like paradise. We actually value it also. And it's because we have just placed that importance on the West, that when you go there, you are going to heaven. And up to now, we have people there talking about, hey, we are in heaven, heaven on earth, because their lives are better now. So if we are building ties with ourselves as Africans, and we are knowing the different cultures and the different sceneries that we have as Africans, I think it's really going to help us. And it's not going to help us it's going to leave us on being dependent on the West. Yeah, thank you.
I really appreciate it. You're right. By the way, democracy is not democracy. Some people think that democracy is only white man's thing. No, man, democracy is everybody's. They may have started it, but democracy is for all of us. And it's a fairest system that can exist. I really appreciate Rawlings as my role model of intelligent transition in Ghana and see the results right here. Even Nyerere, he started it, he let it go. And then finally, while he was alive, he transferred the government peacefully, and we see the democracy like this. So to me, this kind of democracy should go everywhere. And I'm very dignified about Ghana experience, which should teach us as to how to transit our country to democracy too. You understand what I'm saying? We just got to help each other and gain experiences from one another, support the whole family as one. And that's how we can succeed. How about Doctor?
Okay, so we are running out of time. This would be my last thing to say. I think y'all guys have said it all. But a couple of things I want to say. First, what is democracy is very important. You know, it is contextual. The most democratic nation in the world that we think is America, which is happening in the within the society, American society, is doing undemocratic thing outside of the world globally. Okay, so why do you do democracy is a question by itself. So we have to have a definition, a working definition of democracy for Africans. Okay, what that works best for you, because if it's about survival, improving your lifestyle, look at the most democratic nation in the world. Let's call it capitalism, and coming number one economically is America, and then China is becoming number two. Okay, but the leadership or the political ideology they follow is completely different. So the democracy is not the answer for everything. Okay, the first thing is you have to have your way of doing things in a way that makes sense to the majority, to you people. Democracy means serving the people, nothing. Okay, serving the people means the people who are living in within that country. Okay, not outside, to be honest. So that country would have its own culture, and as Bruce said, all this multi variable factors within it has to be considered so that it works best for the country to be sustainable. So when we say democracy, 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 what is? I mean, we have to have, especially for Africa, we have to have a working definition of what democracy is. If it compromises your survival, if it makes you like become, exposed to foreign pressure and everything, then forget it. You know, so I think that's the first thing I wanted to underline. We have to know what works best for all of us. Okay.
Excellent idea. We have seen beautiful democracies in Ghana, because
Yeah.
Ghanaian democracy, for example, is not American democracy duplicate. You bring democracy, okay? There are common elements that you grab on it, about elections and all this. Then the others you do it yourself. For example, there is somebody asked me about how about if people marry homosexuals and stuff, they they become husband and wife. No, 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 no. It doesn't mean we have to do this. This is theirs. We got our own thing to do. Our cultures. Our culture has to be intact. Democracy doesn't mean importing white culture to our nation, because we have built-in beautiful cultures everywhere in Africa. It's just a matter of building on that, you know what I'm saying, and become decent human beings. We're now going to bring that for freedom. I don't want to see any African government supplying needles to shoot their for drug addicts to shoot themselves like what they do in California. No, they're even given something to burn it with. Homeless people, they're going to the streets giving them this. No, many Africans should not understand democracy the way Americans understand it. Let them do their democracy. But the concept is the same. The concept on the political level of understanding. So we can have that. It doesn't mean they invented it or it's theirs. It's everybody, human nature. Common sense invented it. But the democracy is the way we want it in Africa. Period. We don't want this kind of thing. Anyway, everything was beautiful. I really appreciate today's meeting. Was very encouraging to me. I hope we will cross each other again, kids. When I say kids, future leaders of Africa.
These are the future leaders. Yeah, yeah,
I want to relate to any African as a parent. That's it.
yeah. This is the voice of Africa.
That's
This
the way
is
it is.
exactly what you see,
That's it.
and things are going to change. And I mean, there is a bright future to Africa. Hopelessness has gone. It used to be like we our people were in the dilemma of hopelessness, as if confused, as if there is no way out. And but I think that mentality is now going away, and the only way to make it get away is to make ourselves self-sufficient, work hard, don't expect from anyone, and love each other, support each other. That's all I can say.
Appreciate it. And too much love from this side of the world. I think it's morning time for you. I don't know, day, midday for me. It's about midday.
Yeah.
I will have a beautiful time
Yes, sir.
in my dreams because I met wonderful human beings. And we will continue this. I ain't gonna let you go next time, man. Okay? We will
Yeah.
continue
Yes,
this,
sir.
and I will have to
Okay.
see you again. I love you. I love you.
Bruce, thank you so much. I think next time
Thank you.
in our next panel, you would have, maybe we'll have a like a hub of link that we can zoom in and discuss Africa matters this way. And I think Bruce is one
All
of
right,
the
sir.
best organizer, so you can take the lead. Thank you, Mohammed. Thank you so much,
Thank you.
and I really appreciate every ideas that you contributed to the panel discussion today. Is really, you think it's like I mean, this is very influential. Very every each word that came from your brain counts, and it would have an impact, a positive impact to your people out there. And keep it up, keep up the good job.
And
Thank you.
Thank
we
you,
can
sir.
use this as our media
All right, sir.
to meet with others. And I really appreciate, Doctor, for bringing us these beautiful moments here. And I'm sure whoever listens to us will appreciate it. Will appreciate it.
Okay.
And
Before
will want
that,
to see
Yes,
them
sir.
again.
before that,
Thank
it's
you.
a 30-second Independence Day for Eritrea. So we'll say Integrinya Johanna. Okay. So I'll
We are
say Johanna,
celebrating
the
our
people of Eritrea.
second
Yeah.
Independence Day this week.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you are spiritually part of it.
Yeah. So you say Johanna to the people
Yes,
of
sir.
Eritrea, and Bruce, say
Happy
something.
Independence Day.
Even in Ghanaian
Yeah,
language, if you have
we
to
want
say
to we want to
Johanna.
thank you. Yeah,
I
we want to
appreciate it.
thank you so much. We want to thank you so much. At least we feel like we belong to somewhere. We feel like we are not feeling that sense of belonging. I think African youth are having a lot to share. They are having a lot of power. They have a lot of motivation. They have a lot of fire in their bones to help Africa. But the whole thing is that when we are talking about self-reliance, we are not self-reliant individually. So imagine me coming to China. Imagine Chinese government supporting me. Imagine to the age of 35 years, Chinese helped me get my degree, my master's, my PhD. And now I go back to my country to go and tell my country that I want to be self-reliant. It's not possible. It's going to feel like I'm deceiving the Chinese and I've turned my back to the Chinese. It's not fine as an individual, and that is who we stand for. So I think being self-reliant is we should have a system that's going to support African youth from this time that we are growing, because right now we are here ourselves. We are not allowed to work. We are not allowed to do anything. And we have our time to talk about some of these things. We don't have food to eat. We don't have food to eat. And now the Chinese will feed us. When they feed us in a way or two, what we did is nothing. Because if Chinese are going to feed you from the age of 25 till you're 35, because if you come to China, you're staying at least 10 years. And you are staying 10 years there and Chinese are feeding you. And now you go back to your country to tell me that you want to be self-reliant. It's not morally right. And it's
I
not
got you.
spiritually right for an individual. So I think we should have a system to help Africans and African youth to come out with whatever that we have. But I really thank you, Dr. Fitson, and I thank you,
No,
Dr.
no
Jonas, for this
problem. Thank you
opportunity.
very much,
We really
son. Bruce,
appreciate you so much because you've made us have that spirit of unity and that spirit of Africa. God bless you. Thank you.
we're connected forever. To me,
Thank you,
you
Bruce.
have already impressed me. I will go to Tanzania, Ghana. What I want to do is any taxi driver drop me in downtown, okay? Don't ask me a passport or something. I don't have a passport. I don't have a passport. Okay?
Passport.
Africa. I love
That's
you,
coming.
man.
Let's hear from Mohammed.
Thank you.
Mohammed, one more time. Yeah.
Mohammed.
I love you. I'm sure I'll see you hopefully before I die. Otherwise, I'm going to go to Ghana and Tanzania without a passport. I promise you. At the airport, I'm going to make noise. Noise. I don't want anybody to ask me passport in my country. In my country.
Yeah.
Thank you very much and good day for you. Appreciate it.
All right,
Mohammed.
guys.
Right here.
Mohammed, can you say something at the end, last minute?
Thank you so much all for this platform. Also, I want to thank you, Dr. Fesson, Dr. Jonas, because we might be having ideas, but ideas without the role model, people that you look up to, they might not get you anywhere. So thank you for being those people that we can look up to, and you can inspire us to continue this narrative and this thing. So you might not know this, but you being the role model, people that look up to, it might definitely bring some change, encourage other people that, so if Dr. Fesson can do this, maybe I can also do it, and even can do it better than him. So I think this is what we need, you guys showing and leading the way. I think it's bringing great impact. You might not know this, but trust me, for myself, I might be having these ideas, but they are all just stuffed in my head, and I just like, why do I have to do this? But seeing you people out there doing this, it makes me realize that maybe I need also to stand up and do this. So thank you for being that great support and leading the way.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. One more point. Let's all of us share this video. Once he edits and fix everything, is going to send me the link, and then I'll send it to our group.
The Africans watch it.
And then the African brothers,
and then the rest of the world.
Thank you.
That way we have that connection. It's a family thing here, man. There is no country here. It's only one country in Africa.
That's it.
We call it Africa, period.
Africa
From our
unite.
experience, that's how it is. Therefore, I love you so much.
Thank
All right.
Thank you very much for wishing us
Thank you.
a good Independence
Namaste.
Day in Eritrea. I love you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Yeah, thank you so much for your time.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh, come on, Nero. So this was the case. يغني دكتورة أمون فلاليدو.
Kaidan dia saat.
يغني اللي تقورد الله بتعمي دكتور. It's not easy. إذا كله effort تكبر بتعمي expensive time كا سوي كا تغمسنا زلو already impression أمور تفكر فيل جرا. قلتنا كم ذكي وخلو. When our kids do this, I'm sorry, we're talking in Tigrinya right here. When our kids feel comfortable about the familiarity of all of us Africans, the elders teaching the kids, and the kids catching up because they're going to lead the societies next time. You know what I'm saying? Therefore, we will win. It's a win-win situation, and we want to see East Africans do this. We want to see East Africans flourish to the conscious level of the rest of Africans. Stop fighting, man. Stop dividing.
Right.
It's so savage and it's not good. We wish the Ethiopians the best luck. We wish the Sudanese the best luck. And Doctor, hopefully I'll see you soon.
All right, brother.
Take good care of yourself, man.
Bye now.
Okay. So was it like this, and a beautiful time for all of us to come together here as a family. And I'll let you go now. You've seen what it is, and that was what it is. Okay, I'm going to close this with one of the best music that I like about of artists in Eritrea and this sound.